In the summer of 1518, in a real city, hundreds of ordinary people started to dance. They could not stop. They danced for days, and some of them danced until they dropped dead. This is not a legend. It is one of the strangest true events in history, and we still cannot fully explain it. This is the dancing plague. First, picture the place. Strasbourg was a crowded medieval city, and the years before 1518 had been brutal. Failed harvests brought famine. New diseases swept through. Bitter winters and heavy taxes ground people down. The population was hungry, frightened, and desperate. That mood matters, so hold on to it. You also have to understand what these people believed. There was a saint named Vitus, and a widespread belief that if you angered him, he could punish you with a curse of wild, uncontrollable dancing. To a modern ear, that sounds absurd. To them, it was as real as the plague. Remember that too. In July 1518, a woman named Frau Troffea stepped out into a narrow street and began to dance. There was no music. There was no festival. She simply danced alone, in silence, while her neighbors watched, confused. And she did not stop. She danced through that day, into the night, and into the next day. Her feet became bruised and bloody. She would collapse from exhaustion, sleep for a short while, and then get up and dance again, as if her body was no longer her own. Then came the truly frightening part. Within about a week, more than 30 other people had joined her, dancing the same way. Within a month, the number had grown to roughly 400 townspeople. The dancing had become contagious, and no one knew why. The panicked city called in physicians. They ruled out sin and they ruled out the stars. Instead, they landed on the medical theory of the day. This was a sickness of overheated blood, and the only way to cure it was to let the victims dance the fever out of their bodies. And so the authorities made a catastrophic decision. To help the afflicted dance it out, they cleared open 2 guildhalls, built a wooden stage, and even hired musicians and dancers to keep everyone moving. They responded to a plague of dancing by encouraging more dancing. It went exactly as badly as you would expect. The music drew in even more people, and now the dancers, worn to nothing, began to collapse for the last time. Contemporary accounts describe victims dying from strokes, heart attacks, and sheer exhaustion, day after day. At its height, as many as 400 people were dancing in the streets of Strasbourg at once, and some of them were dropping dead where they stood. An entire city had been swallowed by something no one could name or control. Eventually, the city reversed course. They stopped the music, banned public dancing, and carried the sufferers up to a shrine of Saint Vitus in the hills. There the dancers were given red shoes, prayed over, and offered absolution. And whether from the ritual or simply from time, by September the dancing faded away. So, what on earth happened? 500 years later, historians still argue about it, and 2 main theories have survived. The first blames a poison. The second blames the mind. The first theory is ergot, a hallucinogenic mold that grows on damp rye and can cause fits and visions. It is related to the drug LSD. But there is a big hole. Ergot poisoning also chokes off blood flow to the limbs, causing agony and gangrene. It is very hard to believe that poisoned people could dance coordinated for days on end. The leading theory today is mass psychogenic illness, sometimes called mass hysteria. Remember the setup: a city crushed by famine and disease, and a real, shared belief that Saint Vitus could curse you into dancing. Historian John Waller argues that this unbearable stress, plus that specific belief, tipped desperate people into a genuine trance, one that spread from person to person like fear itself. And we did check this. The dancing plague is not a myth. It appears in the city's own council records, in physicians' notes, and in several chronicles of the time, which is why historians treat it as real. As the records show, the authorities truly believed the sick could only be freed if they danced, both night and day. So here is what we are left with: a real city, real records, and hundreds of real people who danced until they collapsed, for reasons we still cannot pin down. The dancing plague of 1518 is a reminder that under enough fear, the human mind can do things that look completely impossible. And that might be the most unsettling part of all. If that fascinated you, subscribe. There is a new hand-drawn, fact-checked story like this every couple of days. I'm really glad you're here.